Okay, so we are going to go ahead and get started. And today we're doing closure. What's the difference between closure and exit? How do you exit somebody? Sorry, I muted myself there for a second. And then, of course, grantee to grantee transfer. So we're going to stay with the same person. And we're going to finish out this person since we're going to take her all the way through closure and exit. So we're going to go back to Carol and click on her, and it should bring up her case. There it goes, it's starting to spin. And so there's a couple of things you have to realize if you're going to close somebody or if you're going to exit them. And the first thing that we have to do is we have to close out what we have been doing. Remember, everything we do except for the manage adult education and the reports, everything that we do with an individual lies in that programs tab. So if you're going to any other section of this system, go back into the staff profiles, go back into the programs, because everything we do lies into the programs. Okay, so there's a couple of key things that we need to do. So I'm going to open it up, and as you can see, this is complete. So again, this is my open case that I am working on. I have a participation or a couple of activities on here. I have a class registration. I cannot close her if I have an open class registration. So I'm going to have to close out her registration. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to, do I have to close out her registration? I thought I did. Just kidding. I don't. What am I saying? Don't listen to me on that. Everything else is fine. So I don't have to worry about the partner programs. I do not have to worry about her assessments. That's in there for information gathering. I don't have to worry about her high school equivalency. Remember, measurable skill gains and credentials are in there to gather information. So I do not have to do anything for these ones right here. I do have to go into this closure tab, and this is where I'm going to close out her case. So I'm going to create a closure. There is only very minimal times that you will create a closure. And I'm going to talk about why you would create a closure right now. So before I do that, I'm going to go back up to these activities and I'm going to see what my activities are. You should have an AE1. And for us, we created an additional activity. So you can see both of these are open. In order to close a case, I have to close this AE4. This AE1 will automatically close after 90 days of no attendance. If there is another one open, it will not close the case. It will look for that and be like, hey, there's another one open, but that AE1 drives your closure. If you close that AE1 for any reason, you are going to have to manually close the case. Okay, I'm going to say that again. If you close that AE1 for any reason, you are going to have to manually close the case. If you go through life and you leave that AE1 open, if you can put in as many activities as you would like, close them and get, open, shut. As long as that AE1 is there, your attendance will drive this and it will close it itself, and you will not have to do a closure on this case. Do you have any questions so far? Okay, so we are going to close this AE4 because we're done with this. Do you see the word over here, closed? This is not closed, it's close, as in I'm going to go in here and close it. So I can hit this close button right here. And I know we put a projected end date, but remember the projected end date is Title I drives projected end date. Ours is just a date that is the system looks for and says, hey, that date's out there, but it's not going to close it based on that projected end date. It's just a date in the system that is a projection. It's not something that's going to close us. So remember, this is our AE4. This is our IET services. And I went through IET 1120. I was done with it. What did I do? Was I successfully completed it? Unsuccessfully? Maybe they dropped out of activity altogether. Maybe I need to avoid this one. It just depends. But for this case, I'm going to say, yeah, they were successful. They went through the class. They went through IET. Maybe they got a job. Maybe I've been working with them for a while and they finished their CNA test today. That's awesome. And I'm going to push finished. That's all you have to do. And then that activity will now be, instead of close, it will be closed. It's done, it's over with, and it is now closed. So if you go down to that activity, you can see there's a successful completion date, and that activity over here on the side has a C, and it is now closed. That's a closed activity. Now, I'm done with this participant. I'm going to leave her alone. She's going to close in 90 days. We're done with attendance. I'm just going to put her aside. I'm not going to do anything to her case, except for maybe I come back and I put in a measurable skill gain in that 90 days. That is not going to affect her attendance in any way. It's not going to extend her 90 days. Maybe she gets a GED and I need to make sure that that GED score goes in there. But other than that, I'm going to leave her alone, and in 90 days, she's going to close. But for some reason, I got super excited because she called me and she was like, hey, sorry, my thing's getting up there. She was like, hey, I really am excited to come in and I want to work with you again. And I got excited and I'm like, oh, I'm going to close this case. And I'm going to open another one. So I pushed the closed, or maybe she got a job and I was really excited and I want to close this case. So maybe I said, oh, she's closed. And I accidentally, or maybe I just thought I had to put a close date on here, and I went ahead and closed this one as today too, and I said she was successfully completed. And you should never close it, but maybe you did close that AE1 and you finished it. If you close that AE1, now you're going to have to manually close it from here on out until you open a new case, and then you have a new AE1. But say you went in, you closed that AE1, you created an AE2 or AE3, and that one was what was holding the case open, you're going to have to manually close this case from there on. So now I have two closed cases. I have to then go down to the closure and close it. So I'm going to create a closure. It's going to take a few minutes. There we go. I can't change her exit reason or exit date is something else. I'm going to say she's still in Juneau. Her secondary outcome measures, did she achieve any of these right here during this closure? So if I have somebody who we need to look at these secondary outcome measures, maybe we need to look at this case and we need to say, yeah, she voted for the first time, or maybe they achieved a work-based project learning goal. Maybe they achieved citizenship skills, maybe they didn't, maybe they didn't leave public assistance. Maybe they were not involved in all these rest of them, so I'm going to put no here. Oh, sorry. I'm guessing I know for a fact that if you put if they were involved in children's education, it's going to pop up some additional questions. So there's more. Did they help out? Did they increase their with their contact with children's schools? Did they get more involved in their children's schools? Which one of those three helped increase their involvement in that education? I'm going to put no. And then again, the literacy activities, if you put yes here, it's going to pop up more questions there as well. So how did they increase involvement in their children's literacy activities? Which of those three did they increase that involvement? And so you just need to push yes or no on any of those, and then you're going to push save, and that is going to close the case. That is not going to exit the case, that is going to close the case. Now there's a difference between closed and exit. So if you look at the top, you will see I still successfully closed. And now I have a closure date of today. I have closed that case. In 6 months, 8 months, if this person comes back in, this is now a closed case. I cannot go in here. I can't add tests to this. I can't add attendance to this. I can only add a new application, and I have to have an exit date. Sorry. I can only add a new application. So on top of the closure date, I have to have an exit date. So I'm going to go down and I'm going to check on that because I don't know if you have to have an extra. This is why you should let the system close it. So you have to go in and do your outcomes. So we're going to go and put in an exit, and we're going to create an exit or an outcome for this person. And this is why I need to check on this, is because there's reasons why you would hard exit a case. So the date of the closure, the exit date, did they exit on the same date? And what are the reasons why? Were they institutionalized? Is there a medical or health reason why they were exited? Are they deceased? Did they die? Were they called into active duty? Is it because of a foster care reason? Are they a criminal offender? And that doesn't mean they're in the institution currently. That means that they are on the outside and they are now going inside. So if you're working in a DOC, this does not mean you exit the case because they're in DOC. And then of course, did they move from the foster care system from one area to another? So did they exit from one of these reasons? In this one, I've got to pick a reason because I'm hard exiting them. And if this is the case, then you need to, if you're doing a hard exit and it's not one of these reasons, then we need to go back and revisit your exit date. I'm going to say that my person, she went into prison. I do not have to fill out any of the information below, and I can click save. It's 2 buttons, it's a date and a reason why. If it's not one of those 7 reasons, then you should not be exiting them from the system or exiting them from your caseload. You should let the system soft exit them every time. Now, they have an exit and a closure date, which the system will automatically do that for you if they're soft exited. And if they come back, now you can put in, oh, you have to have a number of days, that's right. You can re-enter them. And I think it's like 15 days, something like that, before you can redo the application. Donna, do you remember that? $15 or $30? It might be 30 days before your next, if you exit them before the next application can go in. Okay.
Sorry, Wendy, I couldn't find my button. I don't remember.
Okay. Okay, any questions on closure or exit?
Wendy, this is Victor. I've
Hey, Victor.
played with that a little bit, and sometimes it seems like it's 90 days to redo one.
Is it 90 days? I'll check on that.
Which throws me way off, because when I do it and then I can't create a new one because I have to wait 90 days.
So right now you shouldn't be, see that's one of the things, you shouldn't be hard exiting anybody. And if you are, that's something that we need to back out of the system. And if you have, then that's fine. We just need to get a list together of all the ones that you've exited so that we can put them back in, and then the system can soft exit them. So if you just let AE1, and if you've ever been to Vegas and played the, if you've ever gambled and you just let it ride, that's what we're doing. We're just letting them ride.
Okay, I learned that yesterday, that I wasn't supposed to be doing that. Sorry.
From Donna, because Donna's awesome.
Yes.
Who doesn't love Donna, right? Any other questions?
I have a question. Just, is there any reason that we would need to exit? Just, I guess, someone who died. I mean, even if they had died, they're deceased. If we left it open, would that be a bad thing?
Yeah. So if you know that they're one of those 7 criterias, they meet one of those exiting criterias, then yeah, we have to federally put in there that the reason why they are exiting and they don't have an MSG, they don't have an EFL, they don't have any of these, is because they've deceased or they've gone into an institution or something along those lines. So the reason being is they will extract those individuals from our data, and we won't get penalized for those. So they're not into the mix of the rest of them. So if we have 50 individuals and 20 of them are hard exited for one of the 7 reasons, now we are only down to 30. And if we show gains on those 30s, we're doing pretty good.
Okay, so these are being they're being extracted from the denominator of our. Okay.
Yeah. So we do need to show those. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why DOC doesn't want to show that these individuals are exiting because they're going into DOC, because they are in DOC. We need to keep those in our numbers. So that's why if DOC has exited anybody for one of those reasons, we need to back those out, because we need to show that you guys are making gains in DOC. Make sense?
So if we let them, if we let it soft exit and the person is switching to corrections, it'll just go as a transfer, right? Because the person will register there and then do that, because we don't always know.
We don't always know. And that's a really great question. So we have the option, since our grants are correctional grants as well, and this goes from us to corrections or corrections to corrections, right? We don't know. Or say we know that, John Doe is going into corrections. I'm going to pick on Victor. He's going to be with Victor. And Victor says, no, he's not going to come to education. We know that for sure. You can go ahead and hard exit him or whatever. And we go ahead and say, he's going to be institutionalized or he's going into corrections. We're going to hard exit him. And then we have to wait that so many days for corrections to pick him up. DOC has people leave and come to us. We have people leave and go to DOC. Instead of hard exiting them and taking them out of our data completely, we have the option of doing a grantee to grantee transfer, since we're all under grants. So that is a better way of us continuing with our students if we know where they're going than to hard exit them. Or to just let them ride, let them soft exit if we don't know. Make sense? Any questions? Okay, I've just hard exited Carol, so I can't show you the next steps with her, but I can, because I think we added Ursula. So I'm going to go back to Ursula, and I'm going to show you a grantee to grantee transfer. And like I said, we would use a grantee to grantee transfer if she's going from one grantee to another grantee, even if they're going from corrections to out to the civilian grants, or from, you know, our grants into corrections, because that way it allows us to pick up and continue working with them without having to wait some time. But if we don't know, and you know, you can always allow them to exit, soft exit, and then somebody else can pick up that case as well. So in order to do a grantee to grantee transfer, again, we're going to go back into our programs tab, because everything we do is lives in the programs tab. And so for this one, even though we have all of our information in this bottom part, the participation, everything along those lines, the grantee to grantee transfer lives in the wizard. It lives in the pencil. So you're going to select the pencil in order to do that. And if I'm not mistaken, I think this is where we have to close out your cases or your classes, but we'll go through with it and see what it says for us to do. So this is a completed application. She is, she's been in some of our classes. She's moving from Juneau up to, you know, Kenai. We need to transfer her. We're not going to worry about any of these breadcrumbs up here, the contact information, her demographics, employment, anything along those lines, because those have all been completed. At the bottom of our intro page, so after we click the pencil, at the very bottom, it says grantee to grantee transfer. That's where we're going to go in order to fill out the information for the grantee to grantee transfer. So you're going to click on that information. So from here, the requesting district is CERC. That's me. That's where I'm sending it from. So I'm requesting it to be sent to, maybe I'm going to send it to, where did I say, Kenai? Let me see if Kenai is in here. There they are. So I'm going to send it to Kenai and the receiving staff. Oh, let me see if there's anybody in here from Kenai. I'm going to pick, remember we're in the training site, so I'll, shoot. There's nobody to get it. So Linda is ours. So I'm going to send her to Linda. The date of the request, let's say that we're going to transfer her today. You can put a comment if you would like, but my hope was that you would get a hold of them and let them know that they should be receiving a grantee to grantee transfer. From there, it says at the bottom, hey, you have open activities, and before you can transfer this, you have to go in there and you have to exit all of these activities, and you have to exit all of these classes. So before I can do that, I have to exit the AE1 and I have to exit her classes. So I'm taking my open application and I'm sending it on to Linda, who is not in the Kenai, but that's okay. And I've got to do these things before I can do that. So I gotta go back and I can exit this wizard. I'm gonna cancel. I'm gonna cancel the wizard without saving. She's in these classes and I'm gonna successfully transfer her out of these classes. So I'm gonna edit. And I'm going to say that she is, as of today, she has successfully completed this one and save that. She's done. And sorry, I picked one with 3 classes, of course. So as of today, she's successfully completed this one. And this is not just for grantee to grantee transfer. If you have a student that successfully completed classes, you should be successfully completing their classes at any time. And so even if we weren't going to transfer this student, we should be completing their classes as they go. We should be transferring them to a new class or saying, yes, as of today, this person has successfully completed this class. Okay, now she successfully completed all the classes that are in my system. And now before I am going to transfer her, remember I said, don't close the AE1. I'm closing the AE1 on my side. When I transfer her over, and if I'm transferring her to Kenai, she'll go to either Heidi or Michelle's group or AvTech over to Jamie. They will start a new AE1 because it's like a new student on their side. So although I'm closing it, they will reopen it and it'll be a new AE1 for them. And so once they get to where they're not using the attendance anymore, the student will soft exit. This is the only time that I should be closing this AE1 is if I'm doing a grantee to grantee transfer. Other than that, you should leave it alone and let it ride. But for this, I'm going to transfer her. Before I do that, I'm going to make sure that, do we really want to transfer her? Yeah, she's really moving. She packed up all her stuff. She's in Kenai now. I really do need to move her. So this doesn't say successfully closed. It's not completed. It says close. I can click on close. It will take me to that last page. From there, I can put the date. I can put successfully completed. And finished. Now I can transfer. I've closed out everything they've told me that I should be able to close out or that I need to close out. I'm going to go back up to my wizard or to my pencil. which is going to take me to my wizard, and I'm going to click on that. I'm going to stay on the first page. I'm not going to go any further than that application. I'm going to go down to the bottom and click grantee to grantee transfer, and then fill out that application information again. So it's still going from me. I'm still taking it to the Kenai. And even though Linda doesn't work there, I'm going to give it to Linda starting today. I have no open activities. I have no open registrations. And from there, I can save. This registration is not done. It's not transferred. On the other side, Linda now has to go in and she has to approve that this has been transferred. She has to accept it. So it's not all the way done. So if I go back in and do the grantee to grantee transfer again, I can see that it has gone on to Linda, that there has been a transfer, but it has not been approved or denied. So has it been approved? She's got to go back in there. She's got to say, yes, I approve this on the date. I'm going to approve it through here, and she has to save it, or else it's not going to go to her. She's got to accept it on her side. I have a question.
Can this only be initiated off of the site where the person is currently enrolled in? What happens like if they're gone from there and then they're like they're trying to enroll in a different program, and you know, and you can't because they're already enrolled in that program. You can't initiate it off of the receiving end, right? You have to.
Yeah, because I can't see somebody's students that are in Anchorage if I'm in Juneau. I can only see my students, so I can't see their student record.
You mean like if they're enrolled or not, you mean? Or what do you mean?
Right. So I can see if I go in, this is my student and I can see her information. And I just went way, way back too far. Instead of canceling like I should have, I just went way out. So I can see that my student's information, and I can see the information for the student that I have, but you shouldn't be able to see, if you look up Jane Smith and she's an Anchorage, current Anchorage student, you shouldn't be able to see her stuff to be able to ask for it.
But we can see that she's enrolled there though, right?
You can see that she's enrolled, but you shouldn't be able to get into her information. So I don't know if, that's a really good question, Heidi.
Because we ran into a situation where someone was physically, you know, in our orientation trying to, and then we're trying to sign them up. And as we're going through the process, we, you know, got stuck because they're already enrolled somewhere else. And so that's, I was just wondering, is there any way to initiate it from our end, or do you have to go through that end in order to get it done?
Let's find out. Does anybody remember any of the training people that they did when we did the original training? First name, last name, anything like that?
Of our fake people?
Your fake people, not your real people, the fake people in the training site.
I did Margaret Houlihan and BJ Honeycutt.
Okay. Those are awesome. So let's go into assist a new individual. And let's go find Heidi's. Is it H-O-N-E-Y-C, oops, N-E-Y-C-U-T-T?
I think so.
Okay, let's try that. Okay, so a new student comes in. There's their last name. I'm looking them up to see if they have an application. There they are in the system. I'm going to go to the program tab because we know we live in the program tab. And I've done my research and I know that Brian is already, yeah, that's all his information. So this is the right Brian. Okay. So I can see that there is not a current application. So either I have to create a current application and it's going to be on my side, and none of our people have been exited. So if you were to go into the training site, you would be able to see his stuff. So I'm going to create a new application on my side. So instead of having two applications, if they told me that, see, I would start all over again. But if they told me, hey, well, I was a student in Kenai, I could send you an email that said, hey, Heidi, you know what? I had a student that just told me they were a student with you. Any chance that they are open and you could transfer this student to me? Because if not, you're going to start a whole new application.
Okay.
That was a really good question, and I'm glad we were able to answer that. Because they are tied, your cases are tied to your grants. Any other questions? Okay, that was pretty quick. So any reasons why you should run the AE1? Any reasons why you should close the AE1? I should ask, what are the reasons why you should close the AE1? That's a better question. Anybody?
This is Lisa. If someone passes away or if they go into, was it foster care?
Foster care. Okay, so one of the 7 federally mandated reasons why we need to close them. Okay, so that's one reason. Or?
If they pass away.
That's part of it. So there's 7. So one is foster care, one is death, one is institutionalized. So going into DOC is another one. There's 2 more that I can't think of off the top of my head. There's 2 related to foster care. Active duty, that's the other one. Thank you, Mary. Any other reason why we should close the AE1? There's one other reason why we should close it. Mary just said it. Anybody else? We just went over it.
Maybe the grantee and grantee transfer.
Grantee to grantee transfer. Okay. So those are the only 2 reasons why we should close the AE1. If not doing those 2 reasons, we should just let it go, let it ride, and the system will soft exit those. So it's important to know that there are 2 dates that you should know about. At 45 days of no attendance, our system is going to make somebody inactive. It is not going to take them out of the system. It's not going to do anything. It's just going to put them in a pile, basically, that says, hey, these ones are going to go. They call it inactive. Basically, it's nothing. As soon as you put attendance in, they become active again. You're not even going to see it on our side. But after 45 days, it puts them in a pile that says, hey, these ones are halfway to closure. So on their side. So they call it inactive. I don't see anything that it does differently. After 90 days, on that 90th day, 91 at 12:01 at night, it closes that case on you. If there is no attendance on there, it's going to close it. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't put attendance in. According to our federal mandate or our state mandated, every month, the way that it's supposed to, weekly, monthly, whichever way your grant says, that just means after 91 days, it will be closed.
So say you have someone who's been absent for like 80 days or 85 days, and they show back up and they start back up in your program, 5 days before the 90-day mark. But you're behind on getting your attendance in, and you don't get the attendance in until a week later, and by then it's closed. Does it automatically reopen for you when you put the attendance back in? No?
Nope.
Okay, I was just wondering.
That's a really good question. But the feds say if 91 days, on that 91st day, if there is no attendance, that we have to close it and you have to reopen an application. So if that person comes in at 85 days and you are behind at getting in your information, now you have to open a whole new application and go through all the processes all over again, because at 91 days, it's going to close. That's a really good question.
All the more reason to keep up on the attendance. Okay.
Attendance, exactly. So, but after, and on that 85th day, if they come back in, you don't have to have a reapplication. You just simply have to put their attendance in and keep going, because that's the only thing that triggers that case to stay open is attendance. Attendance is where it's at. That's what drives our program, is attendance. Well, that and, EFL gains and, all that other outcomes that we have. But as far as the application staying open, attendance drives us. Really good question. Any other questions? Okay. I will see you guys all on Monday. Have a great weekend. Have a very nice 2-day weekend. I almost said 3. Monday will be the 23rd, and we will be going over managing adult education, managing adult education classes, attendance, and class transfers. It's all on the side. It's not on the student anymore. We have done the student, except for case notes. We still have to go back and do case notes. And we're going to go back to that AE1 through AE4 and really hit those hard. But we have all gone through the student, and we have taken you through all the steps to putting in everything for the student. So if you still need some extra assistance there, everything is uploaded to our website in the professional development section. On Monday, we are managing adult education from a class standpoint. The class, the attendant, and the class transfer, all from the class section. So have a great weekend. We'll see you guys all on Monday on your training. I'm going to stop the recording, and if anybody needs to stick around and ask questions, I'm here.